Welcome back to the Wood and Metal Workshop. I'm going to take a few moments and talk about shop safety. You know, we only get one set of eyes, one set of ears, one set of hands, one set of feet, and while I'm not a safety Nazi, you do have to take some care when you're working in the shop. It's just good practices. Keep you safe. Thinking through things before you do them, making sure that you have your proper safety gear. I wear regular glasses all the time. Here are my safety glasses. They're prescription. In this case, I have had these specially made. It took a little bit longer, but if we take a close up here, you might be able to see that I have a close-up lens in the top, a close-up lens in the bottom, and a standard distance lens in the center. This is for when I'm welding and doing other stuff in the shop. I find that, especially for welding, the way you have to tip your head in the welding mask to see what you're doing. Sometimes you need to look out of the top of the glass, sometimes you need to look out of the bottom of the glass. Just depending on what position you're welding in and what to get the best view of the weld. I like these. They've got the built-in safety side shields. I always had a problem with Snap-on safety side shields. They don't seem to fit close enough to actually protect you. These have saved my eyes. A couple months back I had a grinding disc explode, and some of the pieces of it ricocheted off what I was grinding on and came up and hit me on the side of the face. And fortunately, they had lost most of their energy, but this kept it from sliding in behind my glasses, and I'm really glad I was wearing them. They're good prescription ones like this, run you about $300 with the bifocal lenses in them. But if you're not wearing those, wear these. These are actually the ones that I use for doing some cutting. They're polarized. They are rated as a number 5 lens, so with the polarization, so you can wear these for cutting. Lots of different styles of earplugs out there. I keep these. They hang right up here, so they're really handy. I don't have to go looking for them. They slip on and off really quick and easy. So that's what I use in the shop. I also have some of the disposable packages, the disposable ones for other people that come into the shop, and occasionally I use those as well when I'm going to be wearing them for a long time, because these, while they're comfortable, they do tend to press in a little bit hard, and they get uncomfortable after if you're wearing them for a long time. But usually I just throw these on when I'm grinding and doing some loud work in the shop, maybe hammering on bending steel and stuff where you're going to be a lot of hammer blows. I reach for those. Hands, you know, you only get one set. You really need to protect them. I do a lot of work without gloves on because I like the feel. For really dirty work, I wear nitrile gloves. They seem to keep your hands a little cleaner and keep the grease off your hands so stuff isn't slipping out of your hands. Got standard work gloves. These have a little padding to them. You can see they got arc marks and spatter on them from grinding, and these are my everyday work gloves that I wear everywhere to do everything. If you're running a bench grinder or pedestal grinder, don't use gloves. Same with anything that's spinning. Wear the nitrile gloves if you need a little bit of protection, but because those, if they get caught on something, they're just going to rip. A glove like this, it fits fairly tightly, and you've got the strap here. If this gets caught in something spinning, it's just going to suck your hand right in. So don't wear these while you're running equipment that spins. Next up, I've got TIG gloves. Now these are great for doing TIG welding, a little bit of light brazing, soldering, that kind of stuff, where you need good control over your fingers and you're not exposed to a whole lot of heat. So these are reserved just for doing that kind of work. I don't use them for anything else. Then you got a welding gauntlet. These ones are a little bit lighter. They are lined, but they're a lighter glove. I've got a heavier set here that I wear when I'm doing other stuff, but I usually use these for doing tack ups and that kind of stuff where I want a little more flexibility in the glove and I don't need as much heat protection. Otherwise, if I'm doing the finish welding, where I'm running long passes and that kind of stuff, I'll usually switch to a heavier glove. You can see I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's my choice of wear in the shop usually is a short or a long sleeve t-shirt. Long sleeves I push up, keep your hands away from keep your clothing away from stuff that you can get caught on. So by pushing out long sleeves, I don't wear things with loose sleeves typically. Welding jacket, I like the nice little cotton one. I use it inside the shop here. The shop's heated, so I don't need warmth. Especially in the summertime, it can get pretty warm in here when you're doing a lot of welding, and so or cutting. So I like the cotton one. The sleeves on this, they have the double snaps, so they pull up fairly tight around your wrist, and then you put your gauntlet glove over it, and keeps it from getting caught up on stuff. Cotton. Always wear cotton in the shop. It's the most forgiving fabric. If it starts on fire, you pat it, it goes out. Man-made fibers, nylon, that kind of rayon, those kinds of things, they catch on fire, they melt, and they stick to your skin, and you can't just pat them out. They'll continue to burn, they stay hot. Just stay away from that kind of stuff in the shop, no matter what you're doing. It's a good idea to think ahead a few steps ahead in any project that you're doing. Know what needs to be done next. That way when you finish one step, you're not jumping straight into something without thinking it through first. That's the other thing. Think your projects through. If you don't know exactly how to do something, stop and think about it for a few minutes. Don't just dive in and say, oh, I'll figure this out as I go. It's a good safety practice. Cleaning up. I see a lot of videos with a lot of guys working, and I see piles of scrap steel on the floor, guys who are stick welding. You got nubs of the rods, welding rods laying on the floor. Cords run everywhere, air hoses. You know, it only takes a couple minutes to clean up. You don't have to do a complete bang up, clean up every 5 minutes in the shop, but usually as I finish one step of a project, I'll take the broom and I will sweep the floor and put everything into a pile that's out of the way. Scrap steel, scrap wood, sawdust, grinding dust, all that stuff ends up in a pile out of my way, so I'm not tripping over stuff. I've got good firm footing on the floor. As far as footing goes, I wear boots in the shop. I don't wear tennis shoes. I wear a steel-toed boot in the shop. I'm sure over the years they've probably saved my toes 100 times by pieces of steel dropping, pieces of wood dropping, drop tools. It makes sense. They're not that expensive, and it's just good practice to wear a heavier shoe in the shop. We have a rule in our shop that you have to wear something with covered toes. No flip-flops, no sandals. The shop is out in the woods on a lake, and the kids are running around, swimming and water skiing and that kind of stuff, and they're not allowed in the shop without at least slipping on their tennis shoes first. Because there's always steel shavings and nails and screws and stuff that do fall on the floor during a project, and we don't need any trips to the emergency room. Nobody wants that. We have a buddy system also. Today I'm out at the shop by myself. There's no one here. I've got my wife expects me to call about every 2 to 3 hours, somewhere in there, and just let her know that I'm okay and things are going well. And when you're working in the shop by yourself, tell somebody, hey, you know what? I'm going out in the shop by myself, just like if you were going hiking in the woods. You tell somebody where you're going, when you're expected back. My wife knows where I am, so if I don't give her a call every 3 hours, a call or a text every 3 hours or so, she'll call me and say, "Hey, everything okay?" And I can tell her, "Yep, doing great, no problems whatsoever." I I forgot last time I was out here by myself, and my phone was dead, and she couldn't get a hold of me. And so she called the neighbor, and the neighbor came over and said, "Hey, your wife called, just checking, wanted to make sure, give her a call." So we do have a backup plan for that, so to make sure that somebody's out here working by themselves, that they're going to be safe. You never know when a jack stand's going to slip, or you're going to cut yourself. Stuff happens in the shop. Typically, to me, it happens when I'm working on other people's projects, not my own. My wife thinks that's kind of funny. Make sure you get enough sleep. You want to finish that project, and you just keep pushing, and it's getting late, and you get tired and maybe a little lazy, and that's when you can make mistakes. So, if the project's not going to get done and it's getting late, go take a nap if you have to have it done. 15-20 minutes, get that little re-energized, have a candy bar, cup of coffee or Mountain Dew or other caffeinated pop, and just keep your wits about you in the shop. Tools and equipment. There's a famous guy on TV that has a tagline that everybody seems to know, and he's right. You have to, you get equipment, browse through the owner's manual. Don't just skip over all those pages at the front of the owner's manual that give you the safety warnings. At least look at the pictures. Not all equipment's designed the same. You can have two circular saws from two different manufacturers that have two different ways of mounting the blade, or where the safeties are on them. So going through the owner's manual real quick, getting a good idea of how the tool works. I always say that you get a new tool, and the first thing you should do is do a cutting tool, do a few test cuts, and just try it out. Make sure that it's functioning as designed, that there aren't any issues with it before you put yourself in a position where all of a sudden the tool reacts differently than you'd expect it to from using a different tool of a similar kind, and it can surprise you and cause some issues. Take care of your tools. They'll take care of you. Clean them, inspect them. Every time before I put hand tools back in the chest here behind me, I grab a rag. I've got one that hangs right here on the side of the bench, and I'll wipe the grease off them and just get a good cursory inspection. I've found quite a few cracked sockets over the years by doing that. Just by wiping it off. I've got it in my hand, I'm looking at it while I'm wiping it, and I see a crack forming. Or I had some sockets that I picked up at an auction. They looked really good, and I was using them, and I went to put one of them away, and I started wiping it, and the chrome was starting to peel. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen peeling chrome before, but that stuff's really sharp, and it can give you a really bad cut really quick. And so I checked a couple of the other ones, and sure enough, the chrome was peeling off. I don't know if the set had been mistreated, or if it wasn't manufactured properly. So, and all the other equipment in the shop, if it needs to be greased, it gets greased. I've got a booklet that I keep that lists all my bigger equipment, and I put in there when I maintained it last. So if I have a question, I can go back and say, "Oh, look, the drill press was greased in this case about a month ago when I set it up to work," and so I know everything that was supposed to be greased was greased. Everything is operating the way it should, and in 6 months, I'll go do it again. I'll check it. I don't have an owner's manual for it, so I don't know what the maintenance schedule is. My bandsaw has a couple of oil cups on it, and there's a magnetic sign that I toss up there that says oil the cups, and that reminds me before I use it to put a few drops of oil in the oil cups. And just good way to take care of your equipment. it'll last a lot longer, and it won't surprise you. I think that's about it. Just, you know, the main safety thing to think of in the shop is use common sense. Use a tool as it was designed to be used. Use a product the way it was designed to be used, and use your supplies as they were designed to be used. And that way, you don't get a surprise by using something the way it wasn't intended for. Not to say that you can't modify tools to do a specific task that they weren't intended to do, but that's different than grabbing your slip joint pliers and you didn't notice that the nut was coming loose, and now they've pinched your hand right across here and you've got a big blood blister and you're cussing up a storm. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.